can't be that.
What's your type?
I don't have one. I always attract emotionally unstable women.
Am I emotionally unstable?
I don't know yet.
Oh god.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Listen, I thought I'll give you a quick video before I go out. I wanted to say this first and foremost. We always talk about the ladies and how they are Build-A-Bear boos, but we need to talk about Chris. We need to talk about Chris. He is a Build-A-Bear, Bob the Builder type of man. Look, if she asks you what your type is and you say my type is usually emotionally unstable women, and then she asks, am I emotionally unstable, knowing she's emotionally unstable, and you're gonna be like, I don't have a type, and and smile it and laugh it off, yeah, you're gonna be a problem. You're gonna be a problem. Now, I know a lot of people might feel like, wow, what a wonderful type of man. And I'm not saying he's bad or anything. I'm saying to you that sometimes you are existing in your own toxic patterns, and you don't realize you're existing in your own toxic patterns. He needs to be accountable. Like I said to the women, I said it to the men too. You need to be accountable for the choices you make. I don't want to hear that women aren't good, women aren't great, and you're still picking the same type of women, right? The girl that you've seen on your screen has been emotionally unstable. I'm sorry, right? And now she held you accountable to Pancakes 2.0, the same way she held you accountable to somebody else. Now, of course, he had a part to play, so he has to be accountable for that as well, right? But the reality of the situation is, sir, you know you have a type. That type is clearly not working for you. Why are we going for the same type again? Why are we going for the same type again? Now, someone might say, well, it's an island. He hasn't got a choice. You know, he's on the island. You know, but the reality of the situation is you had a choice. You could have walked away. See, when you're used to being burned and you want to consistently get burned, you keep going in the same direction. You must learn the lesson. The universe, but I like to call it my God, my Jesus, he will allow you to learn the lesson over and over again until you get it right, because where you're going to next requires that lesson to be learned. And when you don't learn it, you learn it the hard way. Now, you can waste a couple minutes, a couple hours, a couple days, a couple months, or you can waste a couple years or decades, right? And many people end up going into the same place that they usually go, right? And so to be fair, to Huda, the way she handled the pancake situation was very different to how Jeremiah handled it. Now, of course, there was different scenarios in that case, but again, once more, I felt like, not addressing this issue does become a long-term problem, right? Huda's got an emotional reactivity problem. She reacts when she feels emotional, and that causes carnage in a relationship. But Chris is quite a calm, soothing character. I can't lie to you. Like, the way he's handled her in this episode, I can see a very calm, soothing character. The reality of the situation is we have to ask the key question: will your patience outlive her nonsense? Will his patience outlive her nonsense? That's always a question you got to ask yourself. If you can outlive her nonsense and your patience wins overall, you win. But if you find out that her nonsense will actually dominate your patience, you lose. So that's the key thing, right? So him going back over the same situation, problematic for me.
Is it damn? I was trying to stay away from y'all. Shit.
I mean, you don't seem like it.
No, I don't think I'm emotionally unstable.
She don't think she's emotionally unstable when she was out here cussing people, calling me the B word. The fact that she's not even being honest herself tells me all we need to know, right? She's not even able to be honest. So here's the thing. Relationships, a lot of times relationships are mirrors, okay? Relationships are mirrors. You must understand that relationships are mirrors. What does that mean? It means that there is either something that you like about the other person that you want, okay? Or there is an aspect where you yourself have similar traits to the other person you are dating. Hence why I said Ace and Chelly are alike. And people don't like to say it. People don't like to agree to it, but you are very much alike. Or there is something that you want from another person. And I think Ace and Chelly are very much alike. But in this situation with Chris, I'm asking the question, what is it that you're similar with Chelly over? You're similar with Huda over. What is it that they're similar of? What is it that you guys are similar? What kind of traits are you guys are similar? But so far, I haven't seen them be so similar in traits. That means there is something that you admire about her. Whether the fact that she's a firecracker, maybe the fact that she speaks up for herself, maybe she tells her own mind, maybe it's because she's willing to be free. You see, when you're Bob the Builder, the reason why men become Bob the Builders is because they're used to saving people. right? Because they could not save somebody when they were younger. And they were forced to be in a position where they were powerless. So they found power in saving somebody. And what ends up happening is, right? What ends up happening is that, you know, when you choose someone, okay, and you choose someone like this where you're trying to save them, oftentimes there needs to be something that is savable. Now, what I see with Chris and Huda is that she needs to be saved from herself and from her islanders. I see that necessity of need now beginning to play a role in him being able to be the knight in the shining armor and be somebody who can rescue her. Now, I'm not mad at that in him being a very consistent, you know, seemingly well-rounded individual. I'm not against it. I'm just like, bro, if you know you've got a type that's emotionally unstable, you know she's emotionally unstable. That means you're not actually learning your lesson. It means you're actually not learning your lesson and you're willing to go around the mulberry bush once more again. Now, it's a lesson for both men and women. If you want to be accountable and you want to grow and you want to be better, you can't be making the same mistakes and then blaming someone else. At a point in time, you have to look at you. You are your biggest issue. You are your biggest problem. You are the person who keeps putting you in the same position. And that's Chris right now.
You look good.
I look good. Gosh.
You know, you know what I'm saying to you? So listen, yes, the 100K definitely plays a role. 100K definitely plays a role, but you'll realize that life seems to throw you the same lemons that you've always existed in the show, right? So would it have been Huda necessarily? Might not have been Huda, but the type of girl is the same girl. It's the same girl. Like, you have to deep it. It may be the 100K. Don't get twisted. But just realize people are choosing the same type of people they choose outside. It's no different, right? They might make a little bit of adjustment, but the same type of people. That's why Olandria can reject Jalen, but go after someone like Taylor. She's used to people, used to men being emotionally avoidant from her. Okay, Huda chose the Jeremiah because she likes pretty boys. 100K was on the line, but she likes pretty boys. Right now, Chris, I don't necessarily fall in that 100% that category, but he's tall. He's 6'8". The rules don't apply. Okay, slightly different. Yeah. So, you know, with Chelly and Ace, right? They've already linked up outside of the show, so them finding each other is not really a big deal, right? So Pepe choosing 2 blonde girls in a row, I don't think it's by chance. So these things, although there's 100K on the line, people are actually choosing what they usually go for, or at least adjusting what they necessarily go for. Like Olandria's about to go for Zach again. Why? Now, 100K is on the line for her, but actually, when you really deep it as well, right? Why Zach? I know that Zach likes her. Well, she's trying to go the opposite route. Maybe somebody who likes me already go for it. Okay, cool. You know? Okay, cool. We're gonna find out she's gonna behave the exact same way as you were before because you haven't learned a lesson. And until you're ready to learn a lesson, cycles will continue to repeat. Yeah. So that was that little aspect as well. I want to just touch on. I think also really quickly, I will touch on the Chelly and Ace thing again once more, just really quickly. Yeah. Actually, no. Let me touch on this Sierra thing with Nick because I think this is important as well. I want to just play this little clip as well for you guys. I want to just touch on that real quick. Someone said that Huda weaponizes her tear ducts. Yeah, I guess so. You know, I can't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying to you? I can't be mad at it.
This protective feeling that I had.
Coming into this experience, I had a lot of trust issues from my previous relationships.
And you're going to have some more, Sierra, because there ain't no way. Nick is a game player. Okay? Nick is a game player. I want to make it clear, Nick is a game player. That boy will use up Sierra's good years and leave her. She needs to be aware, and unfortunately, it's a sad situation because she's locked in, her emotions are in. But this is why I said to you, okay, on a show like this, when you spread leg without there being you guys are together, this happens. Jeremiah did it with Huda, and Huda did it with Jeremiah, right? Whenever you spread leg, I can guarantee you emotions are going to get locked in. Okay? When you spread leg eagle style, that is always going to be your biggest problem on the show. And with Sierra, I know that Nick is one of the good-looking guys that they feel like, Okay, and so therefore she's trying to lock it down. But this is where women have to be accountable too. You're trying to lock it down without locking it down. Sis, what are we doing? Let me say it one more time. This is where ladies have to pay attention to, because you're trying to lock something down without locking it down. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So you're using sex as a way to lock it down. No, we don't use sex to seal the deal. Can we just be honest with that? We do not use sex to seal a deal. The way you get that man to commit is when he speaks out and says he's committed to you. You don't commit him through sex. When you use sex as a tool to be able to get a man to commit, you're manipulating. And what you don't realize is you're in for a shock. Am I saying that you shouldn't have sex? Listen, before marriage, yes, I'm saying that from a Christian perspective, but just in general, right? You should be, that man should want to at least be your boyfriend first. At least. And without that, you're going to find yourself in a position where you are giving up the goodies, and that man is not willing to even go above and beyond for you. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? And we need to have a deeper conversation about the fact that Nick is diabolical. I'm sorry, I've said this before. Nick is absolutely diabolical. The man kissed your friend, Sierra. No. Sierra needs to really have a real conversation with herself, because she's losing it. The man kissed your friend, not kissed though. He lips it to find out if there will be a connection, which means he thought there could be a connection. No. Deep the language. I kissed to see there would be a connection. I found there was no connection. Okay, if you found there was no connection, which means you were trying to search for one, which means you thought there could be one, which means you got bigger problems, Sierra. Why would he think that he has a connection with your best friend? Oh my gosh. I need you to deep that, Sierra. You really need to actually pay attention. But when you spread leg, it's hard to. When you spread leg, it's hard to look at it in a common sense perspective. That's why she was crying like she was at a funeral. And that's why we need to pay attention to what you're outputting and what you're producing, and look at the results you're getting. And don't be looking at other people going, it's always men. Men are the ones are this. Women are always this. Women are always that. There ain't no good men out there. There ain't no good women out there. And I'm like, if you keep getting bad results with the opposite sex, you the problem. It's your life. Yes, I'm sorry to say, I know some of you might not like that, but let me tell you now, if you keep meeting bad men, you are the common denominator in that equation. You need to work on you. Sit down, focus on you. There's something that you're doing that is not contributing towards your success. There's something that you're doing that's not contributing towards your success, and you need to review the inputs that you're putting in, because the outputs are not matching what you want. It's incongruent. Okay, so that's really, really important, I think, for for that. And I just look like Nick doesn't like Sierra like that. And it's because she keeps talking about the future.
And because with Landria, I think it makes me uncomfortable to think about it. After marinating on it a couple of days, I'm almost like,
yes, it makes you feel uncomfortable, babe. And it's okay to tell him that you're uncomfortable. And maybe you shouldn't skip past it. Maybe you should process it with him. Maybe you should take a bit more time to really think about what you're really going through, and not just go, it makes me uncomfortable, and then kind of move past it. Baby, you got to address it. And you need to address it with Olandria. Why is it only that you're addressing it with Nick? Olandria is your friend. You just gave advice to Chelly about how Huda's doing her dirty. Olandria did you dirty. Yes. By Olandria kissing Nick, she did you dirty, because that was meant to be your friend. But then again, we're not doing Friendship Island, right? We're doing Love Island. And anybody can go for anybody, right? Therefore, no one should really be annoyed by that. You get me? So I'm looking at it and going, yeah, this situation is political. The reality of the situation is that Nick is somebody who's looking for physical sex. That's why I keep saying to you, there's nothing about Nick right now that's trying to be in a relationship. He's not. Okay? There is nothing about Nick that is trying to be in a relationship. That man wants to terrorize your cheeks. That man wants to displace your cheeks. He's trying to split seas, nothing else, right? That man's not invested in your heart. He did this earlier on in the season. He had you and he had Bella, okay? Now, when he had you and Bella, he kissed you and Bella on the same night. You forgave him. You're now forgiven another thing. Sierra is about to become a victim and she cannot blame Nick after a while. You've seen the red flags. You've got to take accountability. I want you to pay attention. If you're watching this, I want you to really pay attention to Love Island, because a lot of times we start blaming the opposite sex for our problems. Sierra is her own worst problem, not because she can't see it, because she doesn't want to see it. Already you had a situation with Bella Dasha. You found out that the Bella Dasha situation, he kissed you and her on the same night and lied to you. You are back in the same position. He's now kissed Olandria, your friend, and now you're in the same position again. That's 2 strikes. How many more do you need, Sierra? How many more do you need? Now you can talk about the fact that we are on a show, right? We can talk about the fact that you're on a show. We can talk about the fact that I'm on Love Island. I can do what? No. How you move here is how you move outside, my guy. If they're unwilling to be integrous here, they're going to be integral outside. Okay. And that's the biggest issue. That issue with Elon is exactly that. The reason why she couldn't go with Elon is because she already caught a body. And I said this earlier on in my earlier, I said this in my earlier reviews about Sierra. Her biggest issue with Elon is that she's already caught one body. She can't catch another. And so now she feels trapped and she needs to free herself. You see, the funny thing is you're so free in these challenges of kissing women and kissing men that you think that she's a free person. She's not. I want to keep it real. The fact that you're here lips in 3 ways, kissing women, kissing men, you think to yourself, oh, she feels free enough. You don't. Because still there's some aspects of that, the judgmental feeling of me having sex with 2 people. It would mean something. And so actually she's unwilling to backtrack from Nick and actually really explore Elon, which would have been better for her right now. A better connection. Not only is it physical, but the aspect is you said that you had a better connection in terms of being able to have conversations with Elon. You see what I'm saying to you? You seem to have better conversations with Elon. And the conversation, I think this is the second time that Sierra has spoken about having better conversations with somebody else. But because she again spread leg like eagle, she locked in. Right now, we understand that, you know, relationships, they cause us to can be thinking in mad ways. Yeah, she trapped herself, unfortunately. By spreading eagle leg, she trapped herself. You know? So that is leading to problematic behaviors. I think with Sierra, I think she needs to sit down and pause and really think about her behavior. Because actually, in respect to Nick has shown you very little. The only difference between Olandria and Sierra is the fact that Nick decided to come back home. That's the only difference, really and truly. I'm not saying that. Maybe that Nick maybe finds her more attractive than Taylor did. But other than that, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, there isn't much of a difference. Because he doesn't like you like that. And like I said this, look, the way to know people like you is to like yourself. The way to know people like you is to like yourself. Because often what happens is people get attracted to people that like the parts of them they don't like themselves. The parts that you rejected, they like it, and so you like it. You like them because they like the parts that you don't like yourself. That can lead to problems. That can lead to problems. Because actually what you're really attracted to is the fact that they like parts of you that you've rejected of you. You need to start liking those parts of you. They're covering you in areas that you haven't covered yourself. And if you don't quickly close those gaps by liking those parts of yourself, stop rejecting parts of yourself, you tend to put yourself in places where you get rejected anyway. So I'm not saying, again, it's a perfect magic science to it. No, but what I'm saying is there is an aspect of that you do need to start liking yourself so you can begin to grow. Okay. So, you know, I'm just saying that. Do I think Taylor's gay? No, I think he's inexperienced. He could even be a virgin. I won't lie to you. I don't think he's gay. I think he's inexperienced, and he may even be a virgin. Okay, he may even be a virgin, because the way that he moves, I honestly, you don't see men normally move like that until they themselves have never had a girlfriend before, or never really ever been in a relationship before. That's why he was struggling. He's never had it before. You know? So I don't think he's gay. I think he's a virgin. he sounds like he's a virgin, or he's very inexperienced in that particular aspect as well, right? It's interesting because, like I said, with going back to my Sierra and Nick situation.
Well, you know, and
Really?
yeah, like how would you have felt if it was Taylor and I in the opposite position?
That's kind of a good like comparison. Like I do get that it's your best friend.
Now, the conversation around obviously Nick and Sarah saying about how do you feel if it was how do you feel if it was if it was Taylor? And she said a good comparison. I personally, personally, honestly, I don't think you even need a comparison. He just never should have gone. Nick should have never gone there. And in fact, Olandria is your final straw. Like for Sierra, Olandria should be your final straw that your boy don't rate you. See, listen, don't get twisted. I've done some things where I've done in the past. I've gone with 2 friends before. Don't get twisted. I've done it before. I know what it looks like, and I know what it feels like, and I know what it means, right? Now, when you take this road, you are trying to cause chaos between the 2 friends. It just is what it is. That's a reality, and that's a result of the behavior. The fact of the matter is, okay, all right. The fact of the matter is that Nick wants physical behaviors. He chose Olandria because she was willing to open up and accept him in that area for a short while, and he took his chance. Now, he didn't think about you because he didn't want to think about you. He didn't want to think about you because he didn't want to think about you. Okay? He didn't want to think about you because he didn't want to think about you. That's it. Okay? Now, I want to be very fair. I know this conversation about Olandria and Taylor not choosing her as colorist. I need people to stop that. I need us to stop it. Every time somebody doesn't like a dark-skinned woman, it is not because the person's a colorist. Sometimes you're just not the person's type. What you have to understand about attraction also is that sometimes when it comes to attraction, is what we call the word evoke. It means there is something already there that speaks to you. There's a familiarity, right? So I've been seeing that thing going around, not on my YouTube, but saying it a lot of times. I've been seeing it on TikTok. I've been seeing it on YouTube, people trying to say that it's colorist, but he never said anything. The reality situation was he actually liked Coco too, but it's Clark who actually was the one that found him. Now, the way we're saying he's colorist, I have to just be honest, right? We have to be honest, right? This is only one thing you've seen. Like you've only seen one thing, right? Olandria, Taylor, Andrea, Coco, and Clark. Okay, it is about who he feels likes him the most and who he likes the most. It's not always colorism. Sometimes we need to let that go. Let it go. We have no clue. And the thing is, it always becomes unsubstantiated labeling that really frustrates me. It's like, why do we feel he was a colorist? What, because he didn't go for Olandria? How about the fact that why would Olandria go for him? Maybe because there's emotional aspects that are problematic in his space, right? Maybe there were some things that emotionally they weren't necessarily connecting on. Now, you know what I'm saying to you? Like we sometimes go over the top to try and prove, like you're becoming a professional victim. Sometimes we do this to ourselves. We're becoming professional victims. I'm not saying colorism does not exist. I'm not saying that, but it becomes a stick that we use in order to make ourselves feel better about why somebody didn't choose you. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying to you? Like sometimes we do that thing to it. It makes us feel better about why we didn't choose somebody. Because then we can say, wait, so Olandria didn't like Jalen. Jalen seems to be a little bit more darker than Taylor. A little bit, not that much. Did she now come into colorist? It's like, yo, come on. Like sometimes we just don't like you. Sometimes you're just not the person. You know what I'm saying to you? Like you don't have that energy for that person. And it's okay. Sometimes the packaging is wrong. right? Sometimes the package is not wrong. If you're always going to put yourself in that space, that label, you're going to become a professional victim. And I'm like, yo, it's okay to say that some people just don't like you. Like to say that, oh, Olandria is a baddie. Why would you not want her? Do I need to like a baddie? Just because I think I might find her attractive, I might not be attracted, right? I may find you an attractive person, but I'm not attracted. Okay, I find Caucasian people attractive. I'm not attracted. Okay, do you know what I'm saying to you? Like we need to nip that in the bud. You know, we need to nip that in the bud and let that go. Like, you know what I'm saying to you? There has been no real behaviors from Taylor that have shown us that. You know, so I just think to myself, like, it's not always the case. You know, and it's not always the right energy. You know, and then what really frustrates me is then someone who comes out as someone who's lighter now has to like, it's like it has to be like they like you because you're lighter. How about you had a lighter energy? How about the fact that your vibe was correct? How about the fact that you remind him of somebody who he liked in the past, and maybe he's just sticking to his to a type, right? How about the fact that also Olandria is 5 years older than Taylor? What do you know what I'm saying to you? Like she is almost 5 years older than Taylor. Did we not consider that too? She is 27. Taylor's 22, 21 almost at this point. Oh, he's 25. I don't know how. He was definitely young, isn't it? There's an age gap between the two of them. He's definitely young. So that age gap makes things different. You see what I'm saying to you? That age gap is different. So I'm not saying that colorism doesn't exist. Colorism definitely exists. It definitely exists. I just don't feel like, so he's 24, yeah, she's 27. It's like a 3-year gap. And that's massive. When you're 20 years old, right? And when you're in your 20s and a girl being 3 years older than you, you know what I mean? 3 years older, it does play a little bit. You know what I mean? It makes a dynamic automatically. So probably wanting somebody a little bit more closer to your age makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference, Bridget, when you're a man to a woman. I'm sorry, it may be patriarchy, maybe it's all that kind of stuff. But for us as men, it makes a massive difference in terms of power dynamics. If he was 27 and she was 24, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. The fact that he's 25 and 20 and 27, it makes a big difference about the way that someone shows up. Just about the way that someone shows up. And because they've gone through certain things too. So that can make a massive difference. It can make a massive difference. So that person has to, so if that person is 27, it's not just the age, it's the energy that you bring to the table, right? So at the time the energy comes to the table. So we can both be 27, but my energy is youthful. I don't present like a 27-year-old. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Like when people see me and I tell them how old I am, they're like, "Rah, you really that age?" I'm like, "Yeah, because that's my energy is youthful." You get what I'm saying to you? My energy is youthful. And I've told you about Olandria and that energy that she has. I said to you guys about the fact that when she was talking about Jeremiah, I said, be careful. That energy usually is coming from somewhere. It usually has a base and it has a root. We have to be very careful of that. The energy that Olandria presents has a root. And then what we're going to do is say, well, you know, black women have been through a lot. And they have. But the fact of the matter is you show up a particular way, which means certain people don't want that energy. Okay? Now, for me personally, I already told you about Clark. Clark is somebody who is very smart. She knows how to play the game. She's happy to play the light, fun girl, but play with her if you want to. That look that she had yesterday, the look that she had on this episode, I told you, the look that she had. You know? The look that she had. I said, baby, be careful. Be very, very careful. Clark is not the one to play with. If you thought you were the like, nah, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. Clark ain't one to play with. She's not a softie and she's not a pushover. The way she asked those questions told me everything I need to know yesterday. I said, she play with her if you want to. You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. And when you do find out, don't be coming here crying. Because you playing with her. You playing with her. All right, you're gonna find out. Clark gonna show you the ways. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much Clark likes him. I think she's willing to play, but I don't know how much she likes him like that. You know? And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. You know, that's a real thing. That's an energy thing. So someone can't feel comfortable around you, and it's, again, doesn't mean that Olundra is a bad person. It may just mean, okay, all right, it may just mean that actually at that particular point, the way that we match up doesn't work for us. You feel me? Now, me personally, I would have been on a Coco thing. Can't lie to you. Coco out here looking sweet. Her energy seemed bright. She seemed energetic. You know, she seemed like somebody who was vibrant. For me, Coco would have been it. You know what I'm saying to you? So, you know, that's why sometimes it's not, sometimes you just have to say, listen, it just didn't work. Sometimes you just have to say it didn't work. And it's okay. Someone said Coco next season. Yeah, I hear it. Coco next season is the one next season. We hope to see her because she's absolutely a beauty. Absolutely stunning. Stunning. You know, stunning. So yeah, we shout out to her, man. She's a vibe, you know. And just real quick, I touched on this yesterday, but I'll touch on it again once more. I touched on it again yesterday and touched on it once more with the Pepe and the Andrena situation, right? I saw some people were like, well, I saw one or two people like, oh, you know, Pepe, you know, why do you have to reject her or whatever, blah, blah. But look, I want to be very clear and honest. You know, I think Pepe did the right thing in terms of rejecting Andrena. And I think what's really powerful about that is not that he rejected her, but that the fact he let her down gently. You know, the fact that Pepe let down Andrena very gently, wasn't rude about it, and respectfully allowed her to move. And I've said this yesterday, and I didn't go too deep into it. The reality of the situation is that Andrena also is a game player, and you know she tried to game Pepe. You know, he tried to game Pepe, and that for me told me about her game. I said, "Oh, sis, why did you not have the conversation with Brian? Would that have not helped the situation? Would that have not made it easier and better? Would that have not saved issues for you?" And Angela said she's only been in one relationship. I'm like, girl, then what you been doing? You like playing games. Andrea likes to play games. And the fact of the matter is, yes, she tried to be manipulative. She tried to be manipulative. And this is why men need to pay attention.
With Grayson,
Yeah.
I don't like the whole playing limbo with everything. You know,
Yeah,
you're going
I know.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Because then at
Makes
that point,
sense.
nobody's going to get the real me. And then,
Yeah.
but-
Okay, I respect that.
Like she tried to play a little game. She tried to come in there and try to throw another. And see, listen, you have to deep it, yeah. That again, someone like Andrena in her particular season of where she is in her life. This is a season, by the way. It's not forever. I don't think. I hope not. But let's just say what it is, right? The way that she tried to throw Brian underneath the bus tells us more about her. Okay, it tells us more about her because she could have had a conversation with Brian a bit more and said, "I'm gonna speak to Pepe," said all that kind of stuff, right? And said how she felt, but she actually threw him underneath the bus to another man. Listen, let me tell you this now. Listen, man, them, we know this already. When a girl starts throwing her man underneath the bus, for you, just know that she's done with that man. She got, like, even if she goes back to Brian now, it's too late. She threw Brian underneath the bus. Right now, she weren't necessarily rude about Brian, but the fact that she said, "Obviously, I'm not feeling it," you know, at that point, it's like, you know, and Brian did talk to the guy. Well, he said obviously he felt like he sensed the energy has shifted, right? Yes, he said that she was boring. Yes, he did. And the reason why she's boring is because she doesn't like him. That's the reason why she's boring, because she doesn't like him. You're not going to get the best out of anybody when they're boring, when they don't like you. You know? So when Brian obviously said it to the guys, he hasn't said it to her, though. That's the whole point. He hasn't said it to her. So he hasn't gone to another girl and told another girl, right? Oh, I think my girl is boring. He hasn't said it to another girl. He said it to the guys. That's a conversation with the guys. Okay, that's a conversation with the guys. You can have that conversation with guys. I wouldn't have had a problem if she had a conversation with the girls and said this to the girls. You know, I wouldn't have minded if she had said this to the girls. If she said it to the girls, would have been fine. But she's boring because she doesn't like him. That's that. Like when you don't like someone, and this is what happens when you settle with people. Please, men and women, this is for you. Do not settle. When you settle, you're boring. You're going to be boring. You're not going to be your full authentic self, and you're going to rob yourself and them of a great experience. So let's not settle for people that are not our type. Let's not settle for people who don't excite us and we're not excited by. You don't need to be married by 30, and just because you're afraid you're going to be alone. When you do that, you're going to be in trouble. Of course, Tish. I'm glad you're clocking it. 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 Yeah, I'm glad you're clocking it. You know, so yeah, no, it was the show is trying to, and did you notice also? It's really interesting. What was it? My last thing on this is you know, like when they were talking about Huda and doing too much, yeah. It's interesting that they use the word doing too much. Like, I'm not saying that Huda didn't do too much, by the way, but it's interesting that they use the word doing too much. Like, you know, what happens when, when you keep hearing certain words, okay, when you keep hearing certain words by the show, I always feel like they're trying to game us. Because, like, I get it. No, Huda definitely did too much. But when they're using that word, did too much, that phraseology, and you keep hearing it edited in, I'm like, I feel like you're trying to tell me something. A bit like when they were talking about America, and every time America, it's like you're trying to tell us something. You see what I'm saying to you? So whenever I start hearing it, I'm like, you're trying to game us. Because why are you force feeding me this word doing too much? Hey, but listen, my time is up. I gotta go. So yeah, we're gonna be out, but I appreciate y'all. We will probably we'll talk tonight when we have another live again. Remember, Wednesday night is our live as well. So Wednesday night we'll definitely have our open panel for you guys to come up and say your piece. So if you are somebody who wants to say their piece, Wednesday night we go again. Okay, Wednesday night we go again. All right, so I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon.